Hey guys, I'm Justin with CBI Off-Road. Today we're working on a 2015 Dodge Ram 1500 and we're installing a Prinsu Roof Rack. Fitment is going to be from 2009 to 2018, basically 1500, 2500, and 3500 models. So we'll go ahead and dive into the install. Alright, so just a couple things to keep in mind before you just start punching holes through your roof. Newer vehicles, they're going to have airbags, lighting, a lot of different electrical wires running through the roof, so you want to be aware of all that. We've disconnected the battery on this truck just as a precaution, but also you want to probably pull the weather stripping down on all four doors and kind of bend this headliner down and get a good flashlight and really inspect the area before you just throw a drill bit through and start going to town. Taking your time up front, just being really careful, it's going to really give you the confidence you need to pull this install off. It's not a big deal, but just take your time, make sure to inspect everything, you'll be good to go. Okay, so now we're up here, we're going to make our marks for our layout where we're going to cut our weather stripping. So our instructions indicate that we're going to come from this vertical piece 9 1/16 back. We're going to make a mark, and then our second mark is going to be 4 1/8 inches from the first mark. Now you have a choice. You can continue measuring from that mark back, or we can grab the side rail, line it up with these marks here, and that'll give us the locations of our next holes. That's the route we're gonna go, but totally up to you. Either way will get you there. So we'll go ahead and get our side rail now that I made these marks and get the rest of the marks lined up. All right, so now we'll line the side rail up with the marks we previously made. So that'll give us a good indication on how the rest of the layout's gonna be. So with these lined up with our previous marks, now I can mark this location and I can mark the end location on where we're gonna cut our weather stripping. So there we have our marks. Now we'll get our weather stripping cut. Okay, so we got our marks. We're gonna go ahead and pry this up and cut it. We don't wanna remove this whole piece because that can be kind of a headache, and reapplying it, it may not stick as well because this is just held in with double-sided tape the whole way. So I just have a plastic pry here just so we don't, scratch up the truck. And I've already cut this back side, but I'll show you on the front side. So we'll kind of get under here, lift that up, and then I'm just using a pair of side cutting pliers. Just lift it up right to your mark and then make a cut. And this cut's pretty simple. It doesn't have any steel in it, it's just rubber. And then tuck that back down. We'll move down to our next location and do the exact same process. All right, so we got our weather stripping cut. Now we're gonna use the side rail to show us where our holes are gonna be, and we'll go ahead and mark those with a Sharpie. Just be really careful that you're not moving the side rail around when you start this process, because that'll throw your hole locations off. So line it up with the cuts we made in the weather stripping and just mark the center. Okay, so in this area, there is a channel that kind of protects you from drilling through a lot of vital components or insulation. We're gonna show you that, and it runs the whole length. So when you come through with a drill bit, you'll have to go through 2 layers of steel to get through to anything vital, which is helpful. But basically that channel's right in here, if you could see that. All right, so we got everything marked. Now we're ready to start drilling. I have a series of bits that I'm gonna use. So I'm gonna start with an 1/8 inch pilot hole, and then I'm gonna work up to this unibit here, which will give me a little more steps. And then I've cut this unibit down, but basically, and I marked this tape at 3/8 of an inch. That's our final goal, is 3 3/8 inch hole. So this will get me 3/8, and then I'll just kind of finish it off with this 3/8 bit, just because the unit bit will kind of have it countersunk. So this will be able to open it up all the way. You can use a bit stop if you have one, just to prevent yourself from going too deep. I'm just gonna kind of be really careful, and like I said, just gradually work up to this 3/8 bit. But we'll go ahead and start making our holes and go from there. Okay, so we got our holes drilled. I went ahead and dropped in our plus nuts here. I'm gonna demonstrate how to compress those really quick. In your hardware kit, there should be a longer 1/4 inch bolt. So grab that up, put a washer on it. This is a hex coupler. There should be one of those in your hardware kit. Another washer. And these plus nuts, you should have 10 of those and 10 of the same colored bolts, 1/4 inch to go along with it. So take this setup and thread on the plus nut, and as you compress it, you're going to put 1 wrench on here, 7/16, and another 7/16 on here, and you're tightening the top while holding the hex coupler. And what that's going to do is compress this plus nut underneath the roof into the shape of a plus, and that's what holds the nut in place. So with these, we'll go ahead and get them compressed, but that's how you're going to get that taken care of. Okay, so we got everything drilled up on the truck. Now we're gonna come down here and start assembling the rack on the ground. You can also do this on the truck. We have some extra help, so it's easier to build it down here and then set it up. Just a couple things to keep in mind. We do send these lock washers, but we don't recommend using them. There's a card in there indicating to use the supplied Loctite on the bolts and not the lock washers. If you have a shark fin antenna on the back of the truck, you're not gonna be able to install the crossbar on the very back. You'll have to move it up just a little bit. But other than that, we have our hardware already prepped. I've put the washers on. This is a T30 Torx, and 2 of them will go in each side of the cross piece. And make sure you have the openings facing up so that you'll be able to mount your accessories to your roof rack. Other than that, pretty basic. Just don't over tighten, and we'll go through it right now. Okay, so roof rack's up here now. Let's move forward with the install process. So we're using these 1/4 inch by 2 inch bolts to hold it to the plus nuts we previously installed, and a washer. Make sure you put Loctite on it. The same Loctite you used on the T30 bolts right here is perfect. And I test fit everything, make sure our holes lined up, so now we're good to start our silicone. So I'm gonna basically fill that hole up with silicone, and around it, kind of squish this spacer in, and then we'll be able to start our bolts. Once you start flowing silicone, you want to get your bolts installed pretty quickly so that the silicone doesn't dry inside the hole and prohibit you from getting the bolts in. So we'll go ahead and get that going. Okay, so now we got everything siliconed and we got all the bolts started. We're gonna jump down, check the alignment of the rack before we tighten everything down. So always remember, just start all the bolts to get it in place, check your alignment, then tighten it all down. We'll go ahead and check alignment. Okay, so now that our rack's on, we're gonna finish up by prepping and assembling the wind deflector. So this is the crossbar that's going to be bolted to the wind deflector. It's silver in color, so it's set apart from the other crossbars. And then we have our trim that's going to install on the bottom side of this wind deflector here. So we have these T-nuts, and they're going to slide into the channel on this cross piece with the raised edge facing upward. So we'll install those, and you can kind of count here. We got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So we can go ahead and load up 10 in here so that we're ready to go and start our bolts. All right, so all our T-nuts are in the channel. I've got them kind of roughly lined up with the holes that they're gonna be going to. Same Loctite, you're gonna need to put a little bit on the threads of these Phillips head bolts. And as soon as you get them all Loctited, you can get them all started. Don't tighten them down yet. Just get them all hand tight, line everything up, then go ahead and tighten it down. All right, that sums up our install tutorial of this 2015 Dodge Ram Prinsu Roof Rack. Everything's tightened down, secure. We got everything siliconed up. It's ready to go. Thanks for watching. If you got any questions, leave a comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.